work week is done. I still have some stuff to do, but it's okay. But also, so that's the first reason I'm in a good mood. The second is the sentencing of a certain Mr. Robert Kelly. I feel good about that. I feel good about that finally. The third is, I was just watching the news, and it was somewhere in Texas, and these two police officers were doing like a foot chase, right, for this criminal, or, you know, innocent until proven guilty. And it seemed like one of the officers was like younger, and he was just like booking it, you know, and then the other officer, he's starting to slow down, like that Texas heat, y'all, and then they're wearing 20 pounds of like stuff. So somebody pulls up in this little blue car and was like, "You want to ride?" And the officer was like, "Yeah." Child, he got up in that car, and this man drove him to meet the other police officer who was already putting the cuffs on the person, the runner. Child, I can't. Oh, and the other thing, this is it, but you know, this is the like weekly roundup. The other thing was that homegirl who killed that cyclist, they found her in Costa Rica doing yoga. I'm just gonna say it, if she was another shade, she wouldn't have got all the way to Costa Rica. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you about my week of products. There are a couple of things that I kind of like went back and used. And then, y'all, I was on a journey with my single shadows this week, and I am going to tell you why. Let me start by telling you what is on my eyes today. I am actually wearing the Melt Gemini palette. Now, I didn't purchase the Gemini palette when it originally launched, whenever that was. This is the most recent like relaunch, along with the Gemini 2 from like a couple months ago. Now, I've used the Gemini 2 quite a few times. It has those rosy tones. I'm gonna reach over here and get it just so you know what I'm talking about. Ooh, no. So here is the Gemini 2, and it's more of those rosy mauve-y tones along with the random greens, but I have used this quite a few times. I had not gotten around to using the Gemini, the original, and here it is. I basically have on every shade, I believe, in this palette today. I keep getting like spam calls. Are y'all calling me? I keep getting calls. So yes, I think one reason that I didn't get or hadn't quite used it yet, or didn't even buy it when it originally launched, is that I'm not super into greens. I think I'm getting into greens. I'm getting into greens and blues, more of these grungy tones, because I just love me a pink and a bronze, but I've really been trying to focus on using what I have and making sure that I want to keep things that I have. So there is that. I did not mention the mattes were pretty easy to work with, very pigmented. That black is super pigmented. What I noticed with the shade Goals here, which is that shimmer, and also with this shade here, Gemini, these were a little harder to pick up on a brush. It was much easier to use those shades with a finger. So let me know if that's been your experience. I don't know if it was just me, which is, you know, likely. But I found it much easier to pick up the shimmers with my finger. I don't know. If you like green, if you like grungy shades, this could be a really good palette for you. Let me think though. Give me a second. Like, I'm having a hard time because it's just like not really my colors or color story. I'm gonna get use out of it though, because I did like how it performed. Wait for a sale. Yeah, I'm always saying that. Wait for a sale, because I think getting it at a sale price, for me, that just makes me feel a whole lot better. But I don't know that this is the be-all, end-all of grungy green palettes. Like, make sure to check out other people who use these shades a lot more. Okay, the other things before I get into the single shadows that I've been using this week, I'm like, which one do I pick up first? One is this Linda Hallberg like powder puff. I love me a good powder puff, y'all. I don't know what, like, I just love it. So I have this one now. I also have several of these Beauty Blender ones, and then I also have one from Makeup Forever. And yeah, so I've been using that along with, I also picked up her blotting powder, and the reason that I picked this up is because it has the same ingredient in it that the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm has, that Upsolite. Yeah, Upsolite. And here it is, the powder, and it seems like it actually does kind of blend in. So I haven't used it much yet, but I'm going to put it to the test and sort of see if there's any flashback and things like that. I have been using, for foundation, I've been using my Fashion Fair Creme to Powder foundations. Now, I feel like nobody talks about this anymore at all. Those of you that have been in the game for a long time, like, Fashion Fair has been around forever, then they left, and now they came back. Now, I have two shades in this. The first shade that I bought is Mellow Mocha. Here, that is... Ooh, I got a dip in there, yes! And then I ended up getting the shade right above that, the shade that was a little bit lighter, and it is Suede Silk. So I've been kind of combining these a bit. I could go either way, like either one works. I have been choosing to put it on with a damp beauty sponge, and today I actually put it on with my BK Beauty 101 brush, like the contoured foundation brush. And be on the lookout, because I will have a video about what brushes I tend to use the most, just to give you like my perspective on what I like and why I like it. Anything else? Okay, have I already talked about this? I don't know. I might have taken it out of the video, but let's talk about it now. These two tools have changed my life. So this is a magnet, and like, look at this, watch. Why does that excite me so? And then here is a depotting tool. Now on this side, this is the flat side, so you can just like scoop stuff out. And then this side, y'all know the eyeshadow palettes, like here's a Natasha Denona one where they have the holes in the back. You could take this and just poke it in the hole and it'll pop the shadow out. I have been just like, child, you would have thought that these were made of like gold or something, because I've literally had these on my bedside table. Now, because I finally found a way. Y'all, Rose been playing like hide and seek with me, and I didn't sign up for this game. I finally found a way to get my like magnetic shadows out of however I'm storing them without like gouging them with my nails, because that's a problem, honestly and obviously. So with that in mind, I have now been using my single eyeshadows so much more. The moment I got this little thing, this little magnet, I sat on my floor here and I pulled out like all of my eyeshadows, and I was just trying to see which ones are magnetic. And so, yeah. God. I mean, it feels like, you know, like as you get older, like certain things just like bring you joy that like 100% would not have before. So one example I have is when I got a second blood pressure cuff machine. As I had one already, and I would like keep it downstairs. And now I was like, girl, now I have two. I have one downstairs and I have one upstairs. Like, I'm living the life. And then, y'all, I really thought I was doing something when I got the one that you could wear on your wrist that you could check real quick. Honey, I throw that in my bag when I'm going to work. And when I bought it, I called my entire family and was like, guess what I got? Like, girl, it's to check your blood pressure. It's like when you get Post-it notes, which I also got this week, and like all of a sudden you have notes that you need to write to people. I put a note on my colleague's door and it just said hi. So I get excited about these random things. Anyway, I just got a call from like an health insurance company wanting to talk to me about the benefits my employer has. And I'm like, I am my employer. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about the single eyeshadows that I used this week. So I have them in this little Sydney Grace. I think this is like the medium size magnetic palette, and I have various brands and finishes represented here. So let me go over them really quickly. So these first two shades are actually from a palette. They are from the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. Now, I know this is the palette that some people just like, it's their ride or die, girl. It's not mine. So being that I don't use it as much, especially as much as my other Natasha Denona palettes, I thought maybe I can just pick a couple of shades out of the palette and just use those. And I think that's how I'll be able to get my use out of this palette. If I just like grab a couple shades here and there and make my own, like, what is it? BYOP, build your own palette. So there's that. So I've been using this brown shade here as a base, kind of like a primer for my eyeshadow. And I've been using this shade here either to set that or just to blend out other shades that I'm using. And I've been getting some good use out of it. Now, next to those two, these two round pan shades are from the Melt Amor y Mariposas eyeshadow palette. So I used these two in a look earlier this week. I also have, next to that, these two shades here are from the Adept and Heather Austin palette. I actually have really been enjoying those. Right next to it, we have a cream shade from Cozzette Cosmetics. I do have a video swatching those. And below those, right below those, are two shades from Lethal Cosmetics from their Velvet Dusk. Is that the name of it? I believe, eyeshadow kind of bundle. So this was like my purple day. What else? This one here, this shade, this is from the Lethal Cosmetics and Jolina palette. I had not heard or been introduced to this creator, but I saw the colors in the palette and was like, I need it. And then here is Keep Smiling from Sydney Grace. This is one of my favorite mattes. It's kind of like a brownish, reddish matte. And then this shade here is Hot Cider from Terra Moons. So these are all of the single shadows. Look at this, y'all. Like, so I was just like building my palette all week and I was feeling myself so hard, okay? What else was I gonna tell you? Oh, I guess I should tell you about how the shades worked. Now, I love these lethal shades, and these three are the lethal ones. I like love this Sydney Grace shade. I'm still iffy about the Natasha Denona ones. Like, this is the cream to powder formula, and I'm okay with it, but I'm wondering, is mine like drying out or something? Like, I have a significant dip in it. I mean, it seems to be working fine, but I just am not this palette doesn't necessarily like make me like do backflips or anything. Little can actually make me do backflips. I also really like these melt shadows. They are very pigmented. I ended up getting that palette. Here it is, the Amor y Mariposas. I ended up getting this palette on like super duper sale. And you can see this is where those shades are that I have in my little magnetic palette. But yeah, I enjoy this. I like the palette, and I especially like it because it was on sale. The Heather Austin shades from the Adept palette she has, love those. I feel like they perform really well on me. The one shade, or the one thing that I was having a bit more of a problem with, is this Cozzette Cosmetics one. Y'all, girl, it's hot. Hold on. Now, in using this shade, I prepped my eyes the way I always do. I used a primer. I can't remember if I set the primer or not, but I did my typical, like, this is how I do my eyeshadow. I actually think I used one of my Sigma eyeshadow primer sticks or base sticks. And I put this on the Venus shade from the Cozzette Cosmetics. It was so pretty. Like, it was just gorgeous. I go about my day. And then after my first patient, I was looking at myself and I was like, is that my shadow? Like, it was like cracking and creasing. So it was a work from home day, thankfully. So I took it off, and what I decided to do was to use a different base to see if the cream shadow would adhere a bit better. And so I actually pulled out one of my Color Fix from Danessa Myricks. This is in the shade Chocolate. It's like a deep reddish brown, and I put this on, and then I immediately kind of went in with the cream shadow. Now, the reason that I used the Color Fix is because once you put this Color Fix on, like, it's not going anywhere. So I thought I need something that's really going to like stay put, and let's see if when I put the cream on top of it, that will help the longevity. And it did. I found that it was much better in terms of staying on and not cracking and creasing in my little crinkles and lines and nooks and crannies and stuff. It worked a lot better. So that's the thing. I think some of you have mentioned that, like, cream shadows are just gonna like crease and crack on you. Yes, they will. But I think maybe using something like the Color Fix can be helpful. I'm going to keep playing around with that combination and see how it goes. But for sure, if you have like oily lids, or, you know, you're just like, there's a lot of dips in these eyelids, a cream shadow from Cozzette might not be the best. Okay, what else? Okay, so this is the other thing that excites me. What is this, like number 12? Let me tell you about how I figured out how to get these shadows out of their places, out of their, like, wherever they are, you know, in my like shadow book and other magnetic palettes, without destroying them with my nails. Okay. So what had happened was, I follow someone on Instagram, and her handle is, what's her page name? Addicted to Sparkly Things. She has, like, the eyeshadows she has are just breathtaking. Like, they're works of art. So she started a YouTube channel, and I was like, well, yes, because I'm addicted to sparkly things too. And she was talking about all of her single shadows. So I was here for it. And she was talking about how she gets them out of her like magnetic palettes and stuff. And it was just like sort of like a casual comment. And it like was a couple seconds in the video. She talked about using the little plasticky thing that comes in palettes. Like if this is the palette, right? And you have the little plasticky thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Usually I'm like throwing these away, right? But what she did, and maybe people know this and you're looking at me like, yeah. But what she did, girl, she put it on top. She put it on top of the shadow. Then she took her magnet. Took the magnet. And she picked the shadow up. Y'all, when I tell you, I was like, magic. What? So, because just a lot of things happen when I try to do it without this little protector thing. Like, this was made to protect me. So this is amazing. So if you have these, y'all, and you have like single shadows and you have your magnet and everything, keep at least one of these, okay? Keep it around, because it's gonna help you when you're trying to get your shadow out of the little magnetized palette thing, especially if you have nails. What? Oh. Girl, so like that changed my life, and ever since then I'm like throwing this on top of shadows, and like I'm just having a good old time. God, I need a life. So yes, I'm gonna put this back in here. Okay, so that has been my experience this week. I'm tired. So we're gonna wrap up, okay? So hopefully some of this was helpful. You now have like some tips and tricks that probably you already knew. Don't mind me, just late to the game. All right, so like I said, that is it. Hopefully some of this was helpful. I hope that you are taking care of yourself, your loved ones, but also set some boundaries, okay? You don't have to take care of everybody, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.